There has been some huge improvements in AI-generated music, and this new Gen 1 that's just come out is one of the greatest things I've ever heard. It really takes AI music to the next level. So basically, a research paper was just put out about Gen 1, about how good it is. And honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but Gen 1 is a universal high-fidelity model for text-to-music generation. So obviously, I think this year, text-to-music has become quite big. There was releases by Google, which was like making a lot of rounds, but this is just the latest release, and it's really good. And they just detailed, music generation and possibly the future of music creation, which is going to be a world where people don't make music anymore, but it's literally done by AI using prompts. It's similar to what we've seen with graphic design, where you type in a prompt in Midjourney or DALL-E, and it gives you a graphic based on the prompt that you give. And music generation's the same thing. You type the prompt of what type of music you want to create, and the AI is able to create it. So this is something that's just been released, and pretty crazy, because I think what differentiates Gen 1 from everything else that we've seen from Google and Meta is that Gen 1 AI music is high fidelity, and high fidelity gives it a sound that you'd hear from music recorded in a studio. So it sounds like something you would hear in Spotify. But basically, let's just get right into this video. So as it says here, music generation has attracted a lot of interest, and it definitely seems like it's going to be a big part of the future of music. I can't say that music in the future is going to be entirely generated with AI, but it definitely is going to be a big component of how we consume and how we listen to music and different artists in the future. It's definitely going to have a lot to do with AI. So this is just Gen 1, which is high fidelity. And basically, it's text-to-music generation. And it's just very, very good quality. The music quality is really, really high. And it's probably the best text-to-music generator that has ever been released, because the quality of it is just so good. So we have some different comparisons. We have Gen 1 compared to Music Gen, which is Meta or Facebook, Music LM, which is Google, and Refusion and Mouse AI, which, to be honest, never really heard of these two, but I think they're just using it as examples of what other text-to-music generators sound like. But from my understanding, Refusion and Mouse AI definitely have a lot of work, and it doesn't sound like actual music that people would listen to, but I think they're just putting it here just as an example. So here we have like different prompts, basically just giving us an idea of what it sounds like, when you use different of these text music generation models. So basically this first prompt so I'm going to go through basically everything that's been released and just give my take on it. But we'll start with the first one, give my take on it, and then I think you guys, and then give my take on it. And I'd love to share what your guys' thoughts are on this as well, because I think it's pretty insane. By the end of this, your mind probably would have been blown, because mine was definitely. But it's just good to hear your ideas and what you think about the future of music generation with AI, especially because I feel like this year was the big year for AI music. I think last year was the year where we saw AI art become a thing. This year was the year we started to see AI music becoming a thing. And right now we're in August, so there's still a potential that by December, we might actually have something similar to Midjourney that people are actually using for music, which would be just absolutely mind-blowing. So let's just start with this first one. It says a punchy double bass and distorted guitar riff. So I'll play all of these and just compare it, but probably if Mouse AI and Refusion are just crap, to be honest, I'm just not going to play them. But let's just start. So first we have Mouse AI. To be honest, I don't even know what that is. I mean, in some ways it kind of sounds like music, but honestly, it sounds mostly just like noise. Obviously you can hear there's some sort of music being played, but it's just drowned by so much, just confusion and just distortion, and the music just doesn't come out. So maybe there's some music in there with Mouse AI, but you just can't hear it. So it really is not a good model that people could even use. I think Refusion doesn't suffer the same problem as mouse AI. I mean, Refusion is more clear. Refusion is more clear, but I think the problem with Refusion is just the sound quality is just not good, and you can't even really make out what the music is. So again, it's just not really usable. But Mouse Music LM, which is something I've been playing around with, when it was first released by Google around because Google's been like working on this stuff for a long time now, and I thought it was pretty decent. So let's just hear how it sounds like. So obviously, I think you can get a better idea that it sounds like music. It's actually listenable compared to the Refusion and Mouse AI, but I think it still suffers from the lack of sound quality. It doesn't sound like something people would listen to in 2023. It sounds like music. Obviously, it's starting to get better, but it just doesn't sound like you wouldn't actually listen to that on Spotify. Let's just hear Music Gen. So I think Music Gen is pretty decent. Sounds pretty similar to Music LM. So I mean in my honest opinion, I think Music Gen by Meta is better than Music LM, but I think they're comparable. I don't think the difference between them is too big. So yeah, the moment we've all been waiting for, which is obviously Gen 1. So let's just hear how it sounds like. I'm literally just going to stop it right there because just with those few seconds, you can already hear the jump in quality and sound is just so massive. Like, it just blew my mind when I heard it because it's like such a huge leap in the sense of this actually sounds like something you would listen to. So I'll just play it again. Okay, so obviously it's not perfect, but it has basically everything that you would expect from like a rock song. I mean, it's like a basic rock song, it's nothing special, but just imagine that this was generated with AI. You have the distorted guitar riff, you have the drum pattern, which is more or less consistent. I think there's some moments where it like kind of does a weird thing with like hitting it twice or something, but it's more or less consistent throughout. And it actually has a melody that sounds like something that people would start listening to. Whereas I feel like with Music Gen and Music LM, even though the music is sort of there, it just doesn't sound like something people would listen to. Obviously, Refusion and Mouse AI just like comparisons. So going forward, I'm just not going to play these two, but they're just showing you like what other models sound like. But let's just move on. So lo-fi, slow BPM, electro chill with organic samples. Now, lo-fi has been huge on YouTube for like the past maybe 6-7 years. It's just become a whole own thing. And obviously, I feel like the moment we can actually AI generate like whole lo-fi playlists, just imagine what that would do, like how that would change the music landscape entirely. I mean, I've already heard a few lo-fi songs that are AI generated, but just imagine a future where like all the beats that we listen to are just AI generated. But let's just hear what they sound like. So this is Music LM. Honestly, I didn't think that was that amazing. It kind of sounded good, but there was a bit of a melody there, but nothing incredible. So in my opinion, that's like a lot better than Music LM. The only problem again is the quality, and also it just doesn't sound like a real song. So it sounds better, the melody's like better, it's getting good, but it just doesn't sound like something people would listen to. Now, I literally could just imagine seeing that on one of those lo-fi anime YouTube channels. Like, that sounds exactly the same. I really don't want to put lo-fi beat producers down, but I don't think anyone can deny that that sounds Exactly. Like a lo-fi beat on YouTube. I'll just play that again. Like, that's kind of crazy. That literally just sounds like a lo-fi beat. And it's just so crazy to think that this is AI generated. So obviously, this really is going to change the music landscape. So here we have smooth jazz with a saxophone solo, piano chords, and a snare full drums. It's quite descriptive. So a lot of times when they're testing this, they try to get descriptive, and obviously these get a lot more descriptive. But just to see, just to like push these models and see like what they can create, especially to make sure that they're like actually playing all the instruments that are put in. So let's just hear music LM. So honestly, that just sounded pretty average. Let's hear music gen. Not bad, but again, quality not good, and it just lacks something. It just lacks that like something, as in I just don't think people would listen to it. So this is Gen 1. I feel like out of all of them, Gen 1 followed the prompt the closest, because the other ones were kind of like having these beats and something. This is an actual smooth jazz track. I think the only issue with this, the saxophone doesn't sound so good. It sounds pretty AI, but much better than the other two models. So let's just carry on. Here we have a grand orchestral arrangement with thunderous percussion, epic brass fanfares, and soaring strings, creating a cinematic atmosphere fit for heroic battle. Now, obviously, this is something that you could use for video games, in the future where people need to create video games, or indie companies are trying to create video games and they don't have a budget for a music producer. This is where AI is going to come in. So let's just hear what it sounds like. Yeah, to be honest, that was pretty average. Let's just hear what music gen sounds like. It sounds like an orchestra, but just like Music LM, it doesn't sound grand. There's no thunderous percussion. It's not epic. It just sounds so like just made on the fly. Let's just hear what Gen 1 sounds like. Now, even though I don't think that's as epic as it could be, it definitely is a lot more epic than Music Gen and Music LM, because I can literally feel the sound of an orchestra. If you listen to this with your headphones, like I'm doing, you'll be able to hear actually the sound, and it sounds like you're listening to an orchestra. Whereas these previous two just sounded like a screen recording of a crappy orchestra playing. So again, it's just such a huge leap. It's crazy. That's just game changing for like the future of music in general, because now it's not just about an instrument or a genre. It's about actually capturing an element of something. If you, let's say, want to score a movie and you want to make a really emotional scene, you could say really emotional, high intensity type music, and it's able to make that. So I think mood is going to be major in the game of music generation. So this is what funky, bright, and happy sounds like, according to Gen 1. Oh, and it has some male vocals, so that's something new. That honestly sounds like a Daft Punk demo that got lost in like the early 2000s and was just never revisited. To be honest, it just sounded like a mix and mash of different sounds. Like the vocals is so unclear. It doesn't sound consistent. It doesn't actually sound like someone singing. It sounds like just mashes of samples. But I think incorporating like vocals into music is gonna be huge. I could imagine that would probably be the next big thing after capturing like musical sounds, like actual capturing singing and lyrics is probably extremely difficult. So that would probably be the next step in music generation. But that just sounded like a mixed mash of vocals, but it definitely captured the funky, happy vibe. This is what romantic with soulful male vocals sounds like. So that obviously was like an R&B song that they were trying to capture. Yeah, again, vocals unclear, but it did definitely capture the mood. So that is true. And this is interesting. Era will literally be the same prompt, but just different year, different decade. And I think this is something that was also so interesting in Mid Journey, where it's like you could say 80s style film, like 2060s style this, 90s style that. And it was able to capture those eras, obviously, based on all the data. So capturing eras, I think, is going to be huge just for, all the music nerds. And let's just hear what rock music from the 70s sounds like. I will say the melody and the music itself is pretty generic. It's nothing amazing. Definitely doesn't touch human creativity yet. But it just sounds like maybe like Black Sabbath or something, like a rock band from the 70s, like super watered down generic version of it, but it captured the 70s sound. This is what 80s sounds like. I think they got the 80s pretty well because obviously I feel like 80s rock is like more like it was like more arena rock, like metal type rock with like Iron Maiden and those bands, and I think it captured that. So I think it did a good job of 80s rock. This is 90s rock. Again, I think it really did capture a 90s sound. It sounds more alternative. It sounds, different from the 80s. You can definitely hear the difference. So I think it's able to do this pretty well. And this is from the 2000s. I don't think the sound sounded that good, but I think it was able to pick up that it was like I wouldn't think that was from the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. I would think that is something from more recent times. So I think it got the eras right. So I mean, again, this is just massive. And if you think about how this is going to evolve in the next few months and years, it's really going to change so much. Like how we consume music, the type of music that we listen to, how much of it is going to be AI and how much of it is going to be actually real, because we could like go on Spotify in like 5 years from now, and instead of like 70s rock music, just like creating endless playlists of 70s rock music that was never made, and it just goes on and on forever. So it really is just game changing. So let's just see. So now zero shot ability, and this is obviously like now they're trying to like play around and see what they can do by getting as creative as they can with it. And I think this is useful just because I think what AI does really well is it's able to combine things in ways that for humans we struggle doing. Like it's sometimes difficult for us to realize a concept that we have in our head. But I found with Mid Journey, you give it a certain detailed prompt, and as outrageous as it is, if you very clear with what you want, it's able to understand that and actually provide it to you. And so I think there is a lot of potential here for AI to create like completely new genres and completely new way of looking at music by combining things that like sound so strange but maybe the AI is able to do it in a way that we can think and conceptualize, but we just can't actualize it. And I think that this is going to be huge. So this is just a funky hip hop song with Scottish bagpipes. It definitely sounded like a hip hop song, and there was definitely Scottish bagpipes. So it definitely sounds interesting. Let's just see acoustic guitars playing heavy metal riffs. That was really good. I'm very impressed with that because that's exactly what acoustic guitars playing heavy metal riffs sounds like. Let's just see what standard jazz play song sung in a cappella sounds like. That was very weird. I don't know what it was trying to accomplish there. I think the vocals was supposed to represent the melody, which might have been another instrument like a saxophone or something else, but it definitely followed the instructions. And I think that's probably the most important, is how well can this model understand the prompt that you're giving it, because that's going to be so important for the future of text to music generation. So here it's just diversity. It basically is trying to give different variations, just like in Midjourney when you get different variations of your prompt. I think it's going to be really useful to have different variations of the music that you're trying to generate so that you can pick the ones that you enjoy best, and it can give you different ideas. So here's an example of a dynamic blend of hip-hop and orchestral elements with sweeping strings and brass, evoking the vibrant energy of a city, the first variation. Okay, this is the second variation. Okay, this is the third variation. What I like about these variations is they are definitely noticeably different. And this is the fourth variation. That beginning there just sounded like a Tyler the Creator beat. Like, am I the only one who heard that sound like a Tyler the Creator beat in the beginning? I think, yeah, again, a different variation. It's a different sound, but still following the prompt. So this is the final variation. And I definitely would say it passed the test. It gave 5 different variations that were all unique, still based on the same prompt, but they were all their own unique compositions. So again, it really just was able to, exceed anything we've ever seen before. Getting 5 different variations of a prompt like this and actually providing something that sounds remotely like something we could start hearing people making and listening to is just such a huge leap. So this is music in painting. So what's happening is basically there's like a missing part of it in the actual clip, and it has to follow on the prompts based on what's missing. So this is motivational, driving, anthemic, uplifting, positive underscore. Now we have to see if this music can take that and, based on what it's heard, create something based on the prompt of what's missing. That That's just incredible. This is sad, emotional, dreamy, reflective, ambient, pensive. Now let's hear what it sounds like as a full track. That's exactly what you would expect the song to sound like. It can really just pick up on the music and just deliver on that. This is upbeat, optimistic, joyous, cheerful, light, happy. It's pretty much not noticeable, so it really does a good job of following the music. And finally, the last thing from the audio examples of this insane music, text-to-music sample that they've given us, I mean, mind-blowing stuff, is the music continuation. So basically, can the music continue from where it's been dropped off? So just like with in painting, was the music able to create a song even though a part of it was missing? Was it able to pick up on that and actually follow on that song to make it sound complete? And I think it did an insane job of that. So can it listen to the first seconds of the track and finish the track based on what it's heard? Right, so let's hear the whole track. I'll be honest, that definitely was not clean, but it definitely followed the prompt. So let's just hear this next one. Let's hear the full track. That was definitely not noticeable. You would have thought that was one track, so it really did a good job on that song. All of these different criteria, it just went over and above. It just absolutely obliterates anything that's ever come forward. And it's just so crazy to think that this is how far text to music has come in such a short amount of time. That just a few months ago, Music LM was like the craziest text to music that we've ever heard. And we already have something at this level of quality in just a few months. So really, in the next few months from here and next few years, text to music is just going to become a part of reality. It's just going to be a part of a normal life. And we're going to get to the point where we don't even hear that it's AI. We would not be able to tell. It's going to come. And I think at that point, it's just more about understanding how we can use this technology to, like I said, bring new inspiration, have new ideas, like collaborate, try new things. So I think this is definitely just going to be a huge change for music, and it's just going to change the way we consume and create music. But what are your guys' thoughts on Gen-1, which is like the most insane text-to-music generated tool that we've ever seen? It's just unbelievable just to listen to it. And I really recommend that you should try go on this page. I'll link it down below. You listen to this and make sure you put on headphones so that you can really hear the sound and really hear just how mind-blowing and insane this is. But I really want to know, do you think that this really is going to be the future of music? I mean, how many months do you think it's going to be before we have like real music, real scores, done by text music? What are you guys' thoughts? Like, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Let's just hear like what everyone has to say in the comment section. But I really recommend everyone checking this out because it is insane, and text to music is going to be huge in the future. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value from this video. And if you did, please like this video. It really helps to support the channel, and also subscribe to the channel. I will be uploading AI videos as much as I can, going over all of the stuff that's cool and interesting. So please subscribe to the channel for more of that, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much, and see you later.